We're social animals. Our survival depends upon us living together and working together in what leadership guru Simon Sinek calls a circle of safety. This can become our tribe where we feel we belong, where we feel safe among our own. That natural reaction is trust and cooperation. That's the human condition. We literally need to feel safe, and we literally need to trust each other and cooperate. Let's talk about two words that are used as if they are the same, but in fact are very different: moral and political. Moral means concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. Political means relating to the public affairs of a country. So moral and political aren't the same. Differing politically does not mean you differ morally. So painting someone with a big brush of intolerance for who you think they are morally because of their political views, well, we're going to run out of friends and family and co-workers pretty quick, and we're likely to make fewer friends and keep deep relationships over time. You've probably heard the news reports frequently that the nation is polarized. The word polarized means divided into sharply contrasting groups or sets of opinions or beliefs, and it gets really lonely. Pretending that political and moral are the same thing, or that we should judge people harshly by their politics, it's not only wrong, it's simply not in our best interest for survival. Now, there are people with whom we can have lively debate and civil discourse. Discourse means written or spoken communication or debate, also known as conversation. Civil discourse is engagement in conversation intended to enhance understanding. And so we need to learn how to have a political conversation or stop one without bloodshed. So let's talk about ways to communicate with people. And if you'd rather have a tooth pulled without Novocaine than have a conversation that includes politics, I'll give you a few ideas on how to make a graceful exit. First off, the most important tool in your conversational bag next to respect and listening: pastries. Everybody's in a better mood when dessert is on the table. And when conversations get heated, while people might be willing to whip peas or mashed potatoes at you, they are highly unlikely to part with a yummy, beautiful frosted cupcake. And that means they'll have to find a way to stay at the table in order to enjoy that sugary goodness. There is much more in my book, but here are a few highlights of conversational ground rules. Respect the other person. Respect cannot be emphasized enough here. Treat someone the way you would want them to treat you. Avoid white rabbit syndrome. Plan enough time to have your conversation. You don't have to talk for hours, but starting up a conversation when you don't have the time means that before you know it, you're running late for the meeting or school or getting back to work. This helps avoid misunderstandings and hurt feelings. Just say no to electronics. Turn off your cell phone, iPhone, Samsung, iPad, iPod, laptop, notebook, MP3, flat screen, and plasma. Constantly having someone's attention diverted to an electronic device of any kind, it's rude. Show the person you're talking with they're important by leaving the electronics alone. No real-time fact-checking. Once the conversation begins, you're on your own. If you don't know something, you don't know it. If your companion has said something you believe to be false, argue it from the information in your head. Don't use an electronic referee. Leave them laughing. Don't agree to disagree. Thank your companion for his or her openness. Do your best to end on a positive note. It's just nicer, and it opens the door to more civil discourse down the road. Now, for those of you who want nothing to do with political conversations, here are a couple of tips. Not happy to talk about this topic ever. There's nothing wrong with having taboo topics in your world. There's some things we just don't want to debate or defend. Being respectful as you set your boundaries, it's the best way to keep it civil. You can say things like, I'm going to stop you there, Bob. I don't talk about unicorns. I respect you and your opinions, but unicorns, something I do not discuss. Thank you for honoring my choice. Now, if they don't listen, repeat it until they do. Now, why is this brown box ticking? So you were in the middle of a polite conversation when suddenly things took a turn for the explosively political. It's easy to feel flustered or angry in those situations. So stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and fall back on the two pillars of cheerfulness and respect. Bob, I need to stop this conversation. I'm very careful about how I discuss unicorns, and we've wandered into a conversation we don't need to be in. Again, if they don't listen, repeat it until they do it. If Bob's attitude is rude as a result, well, avoid allowing bad behavior on his part to justify bad behavior on yours. Over time, this will get easier and people will learn you have conversational boundaries. And if it turns out that Bob is a conversational bully, there are a few million things you can do to stop their chatter. Here's just a few. Say to him, "Your opinion has been heard," and be quiet. You can also say, "Your behavior is disrespectful," and be quiet. You can say, "Nonetheless," and be quiet. You can also say, "Bob, our conversation is over," and then be quiet. There's much more in my book, but this is a good jumping off point. Look, decisions that affect our lives and the world we live in, they're worth talking about. They come cloaked in this charged word we call politics. This word has no power. It should not stop you from talking about things that are important to you, your life, and your country's future. And hopefully, now you can.